public education the next 5 years. Today, a panel of leading educators and legislators gathered to discuss the future of education in Texas. It's the 7th installment of a statewide series looking ahead 5 years in 8 major policy areas, public education being one. Today's discussion was held at UTEP and included EPISD Superintendent Juan Cabrera, Lizette Gonzalez-Reynolds, the Chief Deputy Commissioner for the Texas Education Agency, and it was moderated by Texas Tribune's Editor-in-Chief and CEO, Evan Smith.
The conversation doesn't end when the hour is over. The conversation begins when the hour is over, because then we're basically handing the baton to the people in the audience. We're handing the baton to people in the community to continue the conversation and to go off and figure out solutions that work for them. There's no one-size-fits-all here.
And joining us now is Dr. Diana Natalicio, the president of the University of Texas at El Paso. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Natalicio.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me.
No problem. Now, what was your impression of today's panel discussion?
Well, I thought it was quite interesting, actually. Evan Smith always comes up with great concepts, and I thought that the range of panelists was interesting. I thought the interplay among them was really good. And I think they touched on some really critical issues. So I was very happy with it. I thought they crammed a lot into 1 hour. It was very, very good. They
certainly did. And they mentioned, I know that we spoke with Evan Smith, and he mentioned there were some initiatives in place with UTEP and local school districts. What exactly are those initiatives?
Well, you know, we've been working for nearly 25 years as a partnership in El Paso, pre-K through 16, really. So the K-12 school districts, all of them, all 12 in El Paso County, the El Paso Community College and UTEP, came together 25 years ago, and we said we share responsibility for the futures of young people in this community, and so we're going to work together. We're not going to blame each other for anything. We're not going to cause each other trouble, because the only thing that happens when we do that is that students pay the price. So let's work together to create the best educational opportunities possible. So for the past 25 years, we've been meeting as a group, and we meet regularly, the superintendent, the president of the community college, and I, and we talk about data. We focus on data, not our opinions, not just, you know, sort of talking about things in general issues, but getting down to data. So how do students who graduate from high school X perform at the community college and at UTEP? How do transfer students compare to students who begin their work at UTEP? And we're intense in kind of focusing on those data. You learn a lot by looking at the numbers.
And that was actually a really big topic today during that discussion, because I know that it came up, you know, how do we get these students to pursue higher education?
Well, and you know, El Paso has a very good record for this. I mean, if you look at across the state of Texas, we have, among low-income students, we have the highest percentage of young people who go on to higher education of anywhere else in the state, 25% of our low-income students. And I think that's a real tribute to the kind of vertical integration that we've created between the school districts, the community college, and the university. We're all eager for these young people to achieve the highest possible goals, and it's very exciting to see the progress that we've made. I think, you know, we tend to focus on some of the negative issues in education, but I have to say we stand on the shoulders of K-12, and they've done a really good job of upping their bar, their expectations of themselves and of the students they serve, and that makes our job much easier at UTEP and enables us to succeed at much higher levels.
Great point, excellent point. And from my understanding, you continue this discussion on Monday, correct?
Well, I'm headed to another Texas Tribune event in Waco at Baylor, and I'm going to be on a panel where we're going to talk about higher education. And the focus there will be a little bit different because it's more on the higher education side, as I understand it. I'm going to be on a panel. I look forward to that. I think it's always good when El Paso has an opportunity to be represented outside of this region in Texas, because unfortunately I don't think enough people in the state know about the great work that's going on here.
That's a great point. And going back to the conversation about pursuing higher education and your work at UTEP, what would you say are the most successful techniques in getting students to pursue higher education, to go to college, to want to succeed?
Well, I think there are several things. One is they certainly have to believe that they're college material. So we have to raise their aspirations. We have to convince them from little on that that's the goal, that it's not about dropping out of school, it's not about not succeeding, it's about reaching high, thinking big. I always tell students, whatever your dreams are, make them bigger. You can do almost anything with education. I mean, it's a story of my life, and it's a story of most people's lives. We achieve everything we achieve through the educational opportunities that we have. So what we try to do is encourage students to think about higher education and about themselves being whatever it is, a doctor, medical doctor, or a researcher, or a historian, whatever they want to be. We have to ensure that their parents and their teachers and their counselors, everybody reinforces that message, that there's just no other option. If you want to have a better life, education is the key, it's the ticket. And so I think what we've been able to do is raise aspirations and raise attainment. And then, of course, we've got to provide the resources. Quality teachers, we've got to have confidence in these young people. We have to have resources like scholarships and financial aid, because many of the students in this community are from low income, modest income backgrounds, and we have to help them finance their education. I mean, talent squandered means that we all lose. If you don't get educated, I'm going to pay a price for that. All of us pay a price for that, because you're not going to contribute in the way that your potential would allow you to. So educating everybody is what we really have to think harder about and work harder to do. So El Paso's story is actually a very good one.
I agree. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Natalicio.
It's my
and we
pleasure.
wish you a very safe trip as you head on to Waco on Monday.
Thank you. Look
Thanks
forward
again.
to that.
And don't go anywhere. We'll be back right after the break.